Let's give the people what they want.
Joker Folie à Deux is the highly anticipated sequel to Todd Phillips' Joker, and it brings back Joaquin Phoenix as Arthur Fleck and introduces Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. Set against the backdrop of a darkly stylized Gotham, mostly taking place this time in Arkham Asylum, the film explores the complicated relationship between the two iconic characters through a blend of musical sequences and psychological drama. However, despite its ambitious premise, the film stumbles in several key areas. And honestly, I really think that what we got with Harley Quinn and Joker was honestly a bit of a letdown. This movie has been anticipated for so long. The first movie was a huge success, cost like $79 million to make. It made $1 billion, but that was back in 2019. Now, foreign profits for movies are really not as great. It's like 50-50 with domestic and foreign results for great box office. And this movie made like 69% of its budget back overseas. We're not seeing that as much anymore. So this movie is probably not going to be as successful. But also, it's just a movie that wasn't really meant to have a sequel. And now that we have one, you can kind of tell that it just really didn't need one. It's very unnecessary. One of the big issues to me with this film is it's a musical, but it doesn't really commit to being a musical. I remember people had discussed this because we'd heard from Todd Phillips that they were doing a jukebox musical or that there were going to be songs featured in this. And he kept saying it's not really a musical, but it is. It really does have musical quality to it. There's constant breaks for whole songs. And the issue is you could replace the musical scenes with just dialogue and it would just be bad and nothing would change. It's not like they have a change of pace with the music or like the scene completely changes unless it's a dream scene, which becomes more of a crutch than something that actually moves the story forward. The musical scenes in the film just aren't really that great. There aren't that many of them that are really standing out visually. Only the dream sequences are, but that's like kind of a few of them. A big issue for me is just how stuck in place this movie is. It's so long, but it's not like we really go anywhere. And it's not like the Joker character gets to do anything. It's mostly set in Arkham Asylum. And there's little moving around. We go to a courthouse and we bounce back and forth, but it's absolutely nothing new, which is the worst part. You get this whole trial sequence near the end where they bring back characters from the first Joker, which is now appropriately being compared to the Seinfeld finale, where they bring back all these characters to testify against the main character, against Joker in this. Is that what they wanted to do, make a comparison to the worst TV show finale in history? And it's not even the direct being in a court, but more of how they spend just a good hour of the last half of the movie just in a courtroom, and it's not really saying anything. They bring back the little guy, Gary, from the last movie, and he has this whole emotional scene where he's talking about like how scared he is of the world and how Arthur scared him, but for what? Like, what does the scene even do for the movie? It's not like it really even pays off. But it is true that Arthur at the end seems to realize how much pain he's caused, and he kind of says he's not Joker anymore. I mean, it's a ballsy choice, and it is kind of a downer ending, but this then leads to even more of a downer ending where he's killed in jail. But like, it's not like it really feels earned. I keep trying to give the movie the benefit of the doubt, you know. Maybe it's an art film. It's a very slow, purposeful movie, but the pain someone might cause and how they live a miserable life that ends miserable. And yeah, maybe the downer ending is realistic, but it makes the whole movie just feel so worthless. So much mix of fantasy and dreams and nothing really else happening to advance the plot. Another thing that just feels like a really small Easter egg tacked on, but is equally pointless, is how Harvey Dent is in this movie, only just to kind of get his face blown up at the end, which I was waiting for. Like, they had Harvey Dent in a courthouse. I know that's kind of his origin story. I'm like waiting for him to be Two-Face, but who cares? It's not even like he's a major character. It's just unneeded. It really just doesn't drive the plot forward. Harvey Dent isn't that important to the plot, so like what happens to him doesn't really matter. It's just a cute little addition. But again, it doesn't move the plot forward. On the bright side, though, the visuals here are, of course, amazing. The sound design, the score, the costumes, and of course, Joaquin Phoenix does a lot of the heavy lifting. But he's honestly not as good or as manic as he was in the first movie. Yet he's great, but he doesn't really get as many scenes to shine as the Joker, which might just be one of the glaring worst parts in a 140-minute movie about Joker. You don't really get any Joker, which is kind of ridiculous. Like, why should you pay to see this movie? You get some cool musical sequences, but at what expense? Like, well, what's the point of the songs? There are initiatives of songs that have been done before. You get Joaquin Phoenix singing, but it's not what Joker is, not what the Joker movie should be. The first movie is really no amazing movie at all by comparison, but at least it had this kind of rote and told through story that's quicker and gets to its point faster. They're both very drab and sad, beautifully empty movies, but if that one had the most obvious of commentary on class issues and mental health and how people walk all over those below them, this movie just repeats those same themes over and over. It's really adding nothing new, and it does have a chance to. And again, possibly the biggest fumble here is the portrayal of Harley Quinn. I really do love Lady Gaga. I think she's great. I think she's really amazing at singing, and she does give a great performance, but but I feel like her energy just doesn't fit here. And I don't think it's really her, but really the story or the screenplay. She doesn't really feel like her presence warrants being in the story. The way Harley Quinn is written in is just so terrible. It all comes down to how convenient her character arc is. She just appears in the movie because she runs into the hallway and flags down the Joker. The Joker is brought from maximum security to like minimum security just because the guard likes him and thinks, oh, he'd be good in singing classes. She's then in a music class with him. Somehow she sneaks to the back where she lights a fire and escapes with him. Then she's let into his cell because she says one of the guards let her in. Like, why would that happen? And even if she somehow bribed them, why didn't the filmmakers show this? It would just make it feel more real. I don't want to be like such a dick, though. I did like some of the scenes like where she sets fire to the class and they're running around together. That felt like Joker and Harley, but that was like the only Joker and Harley moment. There's just so many unrealistic things in here that kind of like took me out of it. Especially how she gets out of prison or out of Arkham because the lawyer tells Arthur she checked herself in, then checked herself out. Like, there's a scene where Arthur's lawyer is talking to him and she's telling him what should be a small twist that Harley lied about her past and that she's really a psychology major and crazy and obsessed with him. But it like comes out of nowhere with no build-up, so it doesn't really feel that shocking. And we all know Harley Quinn is this manipulator of a character, but it's just how his lawyer just casually says this and we're just kind of like, wait, like, okay? It isn't like it's shown to us or like there's any build-up. And just how Harley Quinn appears in the story whenever it's convenient makes it feel like there's no stakes. Like, she could just appear at court and be let in Harley makeup, and it's a big deal. It's not like there's any obstacle to get there. If you remove the obstacles your characters have to overcome or take away the journey, it just makes your movie kind of boring. Harley just breaks into the Joker's apartment, puts on Harley makeup, and becomes her. Her journey doesn't even feel real. It feels like they're just rushing her story along to catch up with Joker. And it's such a shame because this could have been so much better. What if she was actually manipulating Joker? It would be better if she was actually a patient and if she planned both of their escapes. Then she betrayed him after the fact. It would feel so much more earned and real than her just casually checking herself out and coming to visit him in jail. Like, it makes no sense and makes it feel like she could just do whatever she wants. And it just breaks the logic of the movie. I also kind of wanted to like the downer ending where she breaks up with the Joker because he gave up the fantasy of the Joker persona. It's a good idea for the end because he realizes what he's doing is wrong and he understands he doesn't have a split personality. He's just Arthur Fleck and he knows what he did is wrong. He's only one person. Harley then telling him she's only loved him for Joker is kind of real and kind of an impactful ending. It's just that we've barely seen them do any crazy hijinks together that would warrant them staying together or having passion for each other. It's not like they break out of jail together or go rob a bank or dance in front of a ton of terrified hostages like in Natural Born Killers. That movie had better Joker and Harley Quinn energy than this movie does. Even Suicide Squad, for the brief moments, had better Harley and Joker energy. Joker and Harley in this don't do any of the stuff you would know them for. Unless it's in a dream sequence, which just is a cop-out because this whole movie is an opportunity to show that relationship. You don't really get a sense of romance because the romance here doesn't feel like romance. Maybe you'll argue, well, they're both mentally damaged people. They don't explore romance in a typical way, but I disagree here. If in this fantasy world, you're going to create these parallel dream-like fantasies where they both escape from the harsh reality to dance and be together, you need to make that materialize in this movie's reality. It can't just be them dancing in prison or in Arthur's head. It needs to actually come into reality. Have him actually fall in love with her because she helps him. Here she doesn't do anything but set a fire in their music class and go dancing with him. Yeah, she tells him he's amazing and reassures him, but she just comes off as this unhinged stalker. She doesn't really do anything actively in the story to progress their relationship. And she doesn't do anything in the story to make you care about Harley Quinn. At the end of the day, you just have these two main characters who are kind of stuck in this rotating hamster wheel of doing nothing. Arthur's in jail singing in his fantasy world, and Harley's pretty much just a prop in his world. She doesn't have her own agency. She doesn't have her own motive, at least one that's clear, and it just results in a really boring movie. Like, what's the payoff with Harley lying to Joker? Why does she do it? What's she going to get out of it? I get that they're trying to show she's manipulative and cunning and smart. She's Harley Quinn. But, like, what does all of that do for the movie? She's literally just like, oh yeah, I lied to you, LOL. We're still besties, right? It's like reinforcing that toxic relationship, but for what? There's no payoff. It's not like Joker turns on her or kills her or she turns the tables on him. It's not like any one of them gets their comeuppance. There's just a random bomb that goes off at the end. Joker somehow scrambles out of jail, goes to his apartment, to the steps in the first movie where he finds her. She just breaks up with him. Then he goes to jail, gets stabbed, and the movie's over. Like, what? What a downer fuck you ending. And you can have downer endings too. It just needs to feel earned. What if they went on a killing spree within Arkham, took out the guards who hurt Arthur? It would be redundant to the first movie, but it's already like that. Or if his followers took over the court, or if Harley helped Joker escape with the help of his followers. All those options would have had more weight behind them, and they still could end on a downer note. Like Arthur could still end up killed or back in jail, But I mean, maybe they have like one little note to end the movie out. Like you see him living in his musical fantasy in his head before he dies. Maybe that would have been more impactful. It just never fully commits to being a musical, which is super annoying and makes all these scenes feel super awkward. It doesn't have great characters and it only has Lady Gaga's Harley Quinn because she can sing, but it's not like she's doing anything else for the story. That's all they're bringing into this movie. And Joaquin Phoenix is good, but he's not really doing anything different from the first movie. And if anything, it's worse, so I'm just wondering, what's the point? You need to be able to blend successful elements from the first movie and add new characters to make a strong sequel. The Dark Knight added Heath Ledger, and it added a total wildcard dynamic to Gotham City. Captain America 2, it brought Steve Rogers from the 1940s to the modern age, and they still had him dealing with advancing tech and government conspiracy, all things he was used to, but it's on a whole different level now. It's evolved. Dune Part 2, it introduced new characters and new locations, all while delivering incredible set pieces we've never seen before, new pieces of music, new color palettes, new visual styles, a whole new perspective on the universe, which we've gotten used to. It's the same case with Avatar: The Way of Water. They take kind of the same story, but everything is new. You have different environments, different characters, different music, different cultures. Joker needed this. It needed to be a little different, a little new of a setting, or at least a change of pace and strong new characters. But it doesn't really have any of these. It's just set in one location, so it feels boring. I really did want to like Joker. I was kind of getting into it at first, at the beginning, but then it just started going back and forth. When he's still in jail, then he's going back to the courthouse, then he's back in jail again, and there's more fantasy. It just felt like they weren't doing anything new. There's nothing actively being accomplished to push this story ahead. I'm not wondering where's this going. I'm just like, can this end so we can just see like what the point is? Because the movie itself isn't like making you think something big is going to go down. You're just kind of waiting because there's so much fantasy, so much dream. So if you want to make a movie, you have to constantly have the stakes being raised. You need to have the characters working against each other. That's what makes tension work so well. If you could have Joaquin Phoenix and Harley Quinn feel like they're in a relationship, but there's also this edge, there's also this danger between them. Like if they're together, something bad could happen. You never really feel like that, except when they're in the jail. There's also 2 scenes cut from the movie that were in the trailer, like where they're dancing on the courthouse steps. That was cut. There's also a scene that's cut of her in the elevator with the Harley makeup. They show her in the elevator, but without the makeup, kind of like the pre, but without the post. I was very disappointed. I wanted more, and this just felt really redundant and like didn't have anything new to say. So I don't know what you guys think. Let me know what you think. This movie's been 5 years in the making. It's finally out. Go see Joker. I saw it in IMAX. See it in whatever format you want. It's not the best movie, but try to have fun with it. It does look great, sounds great. That's all I have to say about it.